right, today's lesson is lesson 60, part 2, measuring with cups, tablespoons, and teaspoons, and reading a recipe. So if you've ever cooked or baked something, you have to follow a recipe. And here I have a recipe for brownies. Now, if you want, you can do this at home with your parents to make brownies using these measuring tools. Okay, so here I have what we call measuring cups and measuring spoons. And I use these to put the correct amount of each ingredient into my mix. Okay. Now each one is marked to tell me how big it is. Now it's kind of hard to see on these red ones, but they're all marked to show how big each cup or spoon is. When I want to measure liquid, it's measured in this, which is called a liquid measuring cup. Okay, and you can tell it's liquid because it's always got, liquid measuring cups always have these little spouts to help you pour it. Okay, so if I wanted 1 cup of water, I would fill up my measuring cup to the 1 cup line like this. Okay, just like that. Of course, water wouldn't be green, but it makes it easier to see. Now notice there is extra room at the top. Okay, but there's no measurement, so I can't really use it. So if I needed 2 cups of water, I would fill up to the 1 cup mark 2 times, or use a bigger size cup. Okay. So if I needed to do half a cup, we can see here that there's a half a cup line. So a half a cup, I would just fill up to that half a cup line. But let's say I needed 2 half cups. Well, a half a cup plus a half a cup equals a full cup. So I could just fill it up to the 1 cup line. So a half a cup plus a half a cup equals 1 full cup. Okay. We also have what's called a quarter of a cup. Okay. Now a quarter of a cup we can see here. Let's erase that. Quarter of a cup is at this point. Okay. So if I wanted to fill it up, if I had 4 of them, it would be 1, 2, 3 fourths, and then 4. So 1 cup equals 4 quarter cups. Okay. If I need to do a third of a cup, I could do a third of a cup plus a third of a cup plus the third of a cup would equal 3/3, which equals 1 full cup. Okay. If I added 2 quarter cups, that would equal 2/4 of a cup, which equals a half of a cup. Okay, so sometimes it's easier to use just the bigger cup instead of using multiples of the smaller ones. Okay, all right, so sometimes I need a smaller measurement than a cup. And the largest size of spoons, these are measuring spoons, is called a tablespoon. And a tablespoon is this big one right over here, this big yellow one. And tablespoons have abbreviations, and it's TBSP, so tablespoon, or just a capital T. Okay. You usually see the abbreviations in recipes. It makes it a little easier to read it. Okay. A teaspoon, which is this middle one here. Let's see if you can, there we go. This one, that's a teaspoon, and it is abbreviated as TSP or a lowercase t. Okay. We also have a half a teaspoon, a quarter teaspoon, an eighth of a teaspoon, just like we have a half of a tablespoon, just for smaller amounts. An eighth of a teaspoon, of course, is the smallest, as you can see in this picture. So sometimes you don't have to use measuring spoons. It just depends on the recipe. Okay. So if I have all of these ingredients, we can see that I would need the half of a cup, which would be this one here. I would need the full cup of sugar, which is this one. A third of a cup of flour. Or 3/4 a cup of flour. So if you look at my numbers here, I don't have 3/4, but I do have a 1/4. And if I use this 3 times, that would give me 3/4. Okay. For the teaspoons, I have a half a teaspoon, which is this one here. I have 1 full teaspoon, and then I have a third of a cup of chopped walnuts, which is this final one that we haven't used. Okay, so we can't really show making these brownies in the video, but if you want, you can ask your parents to help you make this at home, and it's really delicious. And that's it for this lesson. Good luck on your homework.